On our adventure across the United States in the summer of 2021, we visited a whole bunch of archaeological sites with ancient rock art in the form of petroglyphs and pictographs. There are hundreds of these types of sites throughout the US, and we only saw a handful of them, but these are 15 of the best ones that we saw and that we highly recommend you to go visit someday. Petroglyphs are symbols that were carved directly into rock faces, while pictographs are images that were painted onto the rocks using natural pigments such as red ochre, chalk, charcoal, blood, or iron oxide. It's pretty amazing to see the legacies of rock art from thousands of years ago and to try to imagine the meaning of these ancient stories that people from an age so far back in time were portraying on these stones. Before we begin, please take a quick moment and smash that like button down below and make sure you're subscribed to our channel. We also just launched a Patreon page, so if any of you feel inspired to support us, we would be so grateful. The link is down in the description below. For our patrons, we'll be releasing all kinds of exclusive content and bonus material, as well as footage from a secret petroglyph site that won't be included on this list. Make sure you watch until the very end of this video to get a glimpse of that hidden site.
The first place on our list is the mysterious Hemet maze stone in the town of Hemet, California, near Los Angeles. It is a unique, square-shaped, labyrinth-like petroglyph carved onto a boulder in a rocky desert hillside. Based on artifacts found nearby, archaeologists determined it's at least 500 years old, and perhaps even as old as 2,000 years, although it is still unclear who made it and why. Some believe it was created by Chinese Buddhist monks who sailed to the Americas hundreds of years ago, as the maze is similar to the swastika, which was a common symbol in Buddhist art for millennia. This theory is unlikely though, and is probably created by an unidentified Native American culture who made similar maze-like petroglyphs around Southern California. Today, it's hard to get a clear view of the stone, as it sits behind 2 layers of chain-link fences to protect it from vandalism. Second on our list is actually 2 sites, the Celebration Park petroglyphs and the Map Rock petroglyphs in southern Idaho. Many of Celebration Park's petroglyphs are between 10,000 and 12,000 years old, with some as new as 400 years old. It is unknown who carved the art here and for what reason. Many of the symbols that are depicted are abstract and have a meaning that is lost to history. There are some really beautiful depictions of humans, lizards, and other animals, as well as interesting symbols like these. This one here is thought to be a solstice and equinox sunrise marker that also aligns to the current pole star Polaris. About 15 miles from Celebration Park is a giant basalt rock covered in petroglyphs called Map Rock. It got its name from the belief that the rock depicts a map of the Snake River Valley, and some authors have suggested that if it is a map, then it may be the oldest one in the world. It is possibly as old as 12,000 years. Some speculate that it was created by the Shoshone-Bannock natives long before European contact. The rock contains many beautiful carvings, like elk and other four-leggeds, as well as many geometric shapes like concentric rings and spirals. Number 3 on our list is Judaculla Rock in North Carolina. This sandstone boulder has approximately 1,548 designs carved into it, which is more than any other known petroglyph boulder in the eastern United States. They're thought to have been carved by the Cherokee people, likely to serve as a boundary marker for their hunting grounds that were guarded by Judaculla, the legendary giant and master of animals in the Cherokee lore. This site may have been used for quarrying stone bowls over 3,000 years ago, and the petroglyph carving occurred intermittently between 500 AD and 1700 AD. Symbols include stick figures, concentric rings, deer tracks, claw-like footprints, a cross within a circle, and many other obscure shapes and patterns.
Number 4 is the Track Rock Gap petroglyph in northern Georgia. This site contains hundreds of carvings on 6 table-sized soapstone boulders. The art depicts human figures, human feet, bear tracks, bird tracks, a cross within a circle, and many other symbols. Sadly, most of the petroglyphs are very faded and unrecognizable today, which is caused by acid rain and modern pollution from nearby power plants. Archaeologists speculate the oldest ones could date to the Archaic period, which was between 1000 and 8000 BC, and the youngest ones may have been created by the Cherokee tribe as recently as the 19th century. The fifth spot on our list is Seminole Canyon near Del Rio, Texas, right along the border of Mexico. This site is really special because it has some of North America's largest, oldest, and best preserved pictographs, which are just a phenomenal sight to behold. Human presence in this region dates back more than 12,000 years, but the rock art was produced between 1,000 and 9,000 years ago, when ancient cave dwellers lived in these massive rock overhang shelters. They used red, black, and yellow pigments to paint different types of animals, mystical human-like figures, which may be supernatural beings or gods, all sorts of interesting patterns, and people holding bows and arrows. Nearby, Panther Cave, which is unfortunately inaccessible due to low water levels, contains a panel of art that stretches more than 100 feet long, with its main attraction being this 10-foot-long panther. If you ever pass through Texas, Seminole Canyon is definitely a must-see. Also in Texas, near the border of Mexico, is number 6 on our list, a site called Hueco Tanks in the Chihuahuan Desert near El Paso. For more than 10,000 years, these rock hills have attracted people to come here for the abundance of fresh rainwater that pools in these natural basins called huecos. Hidden all around beneath overhangs, in rock crevices, small caves, and in all sorts of hard-to-find places throughout the site, are as many as 5,000 painted pictographs and carved petroglyphs, the oldest of which date back to 8,000 BC. This is one of the most remarkable collections of rock art in North America, with images of many kinds of animals such as lizards and snakes, geometric patterns, as well as many other symbols and figures. The most renowned are these masks or face designs, which may represent different gods or supernatural deities. There are more than 200 of them here, making this the largest grouping of such masks on the continent. Much of the rock art here is very hard to find, and we had to venture up the side of the mountain and climb into this cave to see these ones. This mask here was my favorite one. It kinda looks like me.
The 7th spot on our list is a controversial site known as the Los Lunas Decalogue stone, which sits on the side of Hidden Mountain near Albuquerque, New Mexico. This site contains a stone weighing over 80 tons that is inscribed with a passage from Exodus in Paleo-Hebrew script that outlines the Decalogue, or the 10 Commandments. Many people consider this petroglyph to be a modern hoax, while others believe that it is an authentic artifact of the lost tribes of Israel settling in the Americas several thousand years ago. The first recorded mention of the stone was in 1933 by a retired archaeology professor, whose guide said that the stone was there when he saw it as a kid in the 1880s. Could it really have been carved a few thousand years ago? After researching it, it does appear to us to be a modern inscription, but you can do your own research and find out for yourself. It's still a pretty awesome place to visit, and it's definitely worth checking out. The 8th site on our list is the Petroglyph National Monument, which is also in New Mexico. This site is huge. It stretches across more than 7,000 acres of volcanic basalt escarpment. It's one of the largest petroglyph sites in North America, with more than 25,000 images carved into the black stones. It is speculated that they were carved between 400 and 700 years ago by the ancestral Puebloans and early Spanish settlers, although some images may be as much as 2,000 or 3,000 years old. This landscape of sacred symbols depicts animals, people, crosses, livestock brands, and other mysterious symbols. There are 3 main areas to see petroglyphs in the park, with about 4 miles of trails. We spent hours walking in the baking sun, hunting for petroglyphs, wondering where the next profound symbol would appear in the landscape. We recommend that you go earlier in the day when there's less glare from the sun and the petroglyphs are most visible, and you're less likely to get cooked in the blazing desert heat. Number 9 on our list is the legendary Chaco Canyon in northwestern New Mexico, which has a lot more than just petroglyphs to see. Chaco Canyon was the central hub of the Puebloan society between 850 and 1250 AD, and today, more than 24,000 archaeological sites can be found within its boundaries. Because there was so much to see, we didn't have a chance to hike to many of the petroglyph and pictograph sites here, but what we did see was pretty incredible. There are depictions of animals, mysterious spiritual figures, the sun, spirals, and many other symbols that elude modern understanding. There are endless trails for you to explore here, with petroglyphs around every corner, all throughout the park.
The 10th site on our list is Mesa Verde in Colorado, another site whose petroglyphs are overshadowed by its amazing architecture. While most people don't visit here to see petroglyphs, there are a few spots in the park where you can find them. There are a few pictographs like this handprint, and some really great petroglyphs among the cliff dwellings. It's also definitely worth it to hike the 2.4-mile Petroglyph Point Trail out to this large, beautiful panel. These phenomenal petroglyphs depict humans, animals, handprints, spirals, and other geometric symbols. It's said to depict an important part of the Anasazi origin story, and it is truly a must-see spectacular work of art. While we were there at sunset, the sun illuminated the wall with a magical orange glow that made it even more beautiful. The 11th spot on our list goes to the Petrified Forest National Park in eastern Arizona. Near the ancient petrified trees, you can find hundreds of beautiful petroglyphs that depict humans, reptiles, geometric shapes, birds, spirit beings, and even a few solstice markers. The art dates from between 600 to 1100 years old, and some of the oldest date to around 2000 years old. Hueco Pueblo and Newspaper Rock were the two places we visited that had petroglyphs in the park, and we highly recommend you to check them out. Site number 12 is a place called V-Bar V near Sedona, Arizona. It's the largest known and best preserved petroglyph site in the Verde Valley, containing more than 1,000 images across 13 panels. The art of the site only exhibits one cultural style, what archaeologists call the Beaver Creek style, without overlap or newer designs drawn over older glyphs. This single style helps archaeologists to date the art to around 1150 to 1400 AD by a people they call the Sinagua culture. There are many different animals depicted, including turtles, snakes, coyotes, deer, birds, and other animals, as well as many different people and geometric symbols that may represent clans, boundary markings, or cultural activities. The site also acts as a solar calendar, where the sunlight shines through this notch in the cliff and casts a dagger of light through this spiral on the winter solstice. There are also other amazing alignments of sunlight across specific symbols on the wall, marking important harvest times and other culturally significant days of the year.
Number 13 on our list is the Palatki Heritage Site, which is also near Sedona, Arizona. This site has many painted pictographs and carved petroglyphs from many different native cultures that occupied the Verde Valley for a very long stretch of time. Many of these images predate the cliff dwellings here, and much of this art was created during the Archaic period, between 3,000 and 6,000 years ago, although images were still being added around 1,000 years ago or even more recently. The artists made white, red, yellow, and black pigments from clay, limonite, and charcoal to paint fantastic and complex symbols, many types of animals, and squiggly lines that may have represented rain or even lightning. One of the coolest images here depicts the position of the setting sun over the nearby hills on the horizon during the summer and winter solstices. Some of the symbols are Hopi clan signs, but the meaning of so many of these images is unknown. The 14th spot on our list is a petroglyph site in Joshua Tree, California, that locals have told us to keep nameless, since there have been a number of vandalisms here, and they're careful to not attract unwanted attention to the site, since it's not protected by a park service. We were led here by a local friend of ours, and we spent hours in the hot sun exploring the canyon. There are many petroglyphs here, although some are harder than others to see because they are either faded or high up on the walls of rock. Most of the glyphs are geometric and rather obscure in their meaning. Circles, jagged lines, and crude shapes are mostly what you'll see carved into the rocks. It is interesting to see the reoccurring shapes and symbols from site to site. Finding detailed information about the site is rather difficult, and we have yet to do extensive research about it, although it is said that these petroglyphs are of desert, archaic, or Serrano origin. Last but not least are the Chalfant Valley petroglyphs near Bishop, California, which is actually 3 sites on the same stretch of road: the Fish Slough, Chidago, and Red Canyon petroglyphs. According to the National Park Service, the petroglyphs at these 3 sites date from between 1,000 and 10,000 years ago. There are thousands of petroglyphs here, and the art depicts many different geometric shapes, people, animals, and other abstract symbols. Many of the panels seem to tell significant stories of a forgotten time, and there are some really unique pieces of art, like this chunky elk jumping over an interdimensional portal. Just when you think you have found everything at one site, you look around and find 10 more petroglyphs hiding on another rock. So we highly recommend spending a few hours exploring these places and to see how many petroglyphs you can find hiding in the landscape.
We had an amazing day here, soaking up the beautiful scenery of this high desert plateau surrounded by mountains. And little did we know that we would find our way to the most secret and hidden petroglyph site in the region. We spent hours tracking this site down, and as a bonus gift for our Patreon supporters, we have a special video on this 16th site, which was actually our favorite rock art we visited on this whole trip. The location of this spot is kept a secret though, and we will not reveal where it is. But if you want to see more footage of this incredible place, hop on over to our Patreon and join one of our reward tiers. You'll find us at patreon.com/ancientpresence, and the link's in the description below. The reason why some of these archaeological sites are kept a secret, especially the ones that are not within protected parks, is because many have unfortunately been subject to vandalism. That's why we want to stress the importance of protecting these incredible displays of ancient art and culture, and we encourage the utmost respect when visiting these places. These legacies tell important stories about the history of human habitation in the Americas and give valuable clues as to what life was like for the people in the times of antiquity. Please do not touch or alter these ancient artifacts. Doing so will do a great disservice to the beauty of the cultural heritage and historical records that are kept on these stones.
Thank you so much for watching. We hope this list was helpful to you, and if it was, please hit that like button down below, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos with your friends. If you've been to any of these spots before and want to share your experience, or if you want to recommend any other sites that we didn't cover, leave us a comment down below. We really appreciate you all watching our videos and supporting our channel, and we'll see you all soon. Take care, everybody.